I was actually a bit obsessed by business as a kid. You know, I was the kid who'd see, this is just too embarrassing actually, but I learnt that Fords were 40% of the market. And I used to count cars on the street corner and go, I don't know about that. It looks more like 35% to me. So I loved business and doing stuff. I studied in Leeds business, sort of business IT, how technology would help business and change the nature of business. And then I worked for First Direct, who were doing some really cool stuff at that stage. You know, they had circus performers at seats and entertaining the call center people, and they believed that service was the thing, not technology. And so that was a whole different lesson for me. And then I worked for some consultancies creating some amazing software for customer service. But really what hit me was that this wasn't about technology really, but it was about people and their ideas and serving customers. So I was asked to write some books about that. And, well, the first book was called E-Customer, and it was all about the idea that the electronic customer was moving faster than the technology and faster than the organizations and faster than the leaders, and it was time to catch up. So that one, then Unshrink. Unshrink's all about management myths that slow people down. You know, like the boss being Superman. Well, he isn't. We know that, but we kind of pretend he is sometimes. So it's about the myths and the truths of management. And the idea was that people don't need to grow. They need to be unshrunk. You know, business and organizations, they just give us a good kicking until we have no ideas left in us. And all managers really need to do is get out of the way and give people permission to succeed. And then the last one was The Truth About Innovation. It's a cookbook of innovation ideas. It's amazing. You should read it. And the next one's called The Strategy Book, which is an introduction to anybody to how to shape your own future. If the business would grow or survive without you, how much time have you got? Quite a lot. If you think the business would actually very quickly implode, you'd have a different kind of a problem. Or explode, you know, you're a different kind. What would you do then? Let's just carry on with this thought experiment. How to get time is our thought experiment. Delegate. You would have to delegate, but delegate is wrapped up, isn't it, with loads of stuff. You would have to maybe develop those people, trust them, train them, or just maybe take a risk, throw the dice. There are a lot of people who will not take on responsibility if they think it's a training exercise. They have to know you're absolutely giving them responsibility, and then they will take it. So what I'm saying is that delegation has to be for real. Delegation has to be so for real that you can actually leave the business. So the number one way of achieving that is to leave the business. You leave the business for long enough to focus on these new ideas, because the number one role of any leader or business owner is to look at the future, see where you're going. Well, I always start with the future. We just have to the idea of shaping future, and I think that gets everybody to the same shared point. We all care about what happens to us next, whether we're going to die alone in pain or whatever, statistically speaking, or whether we're going to have this fantastic life. And then everything else is a mixture of sort of key principles that really come from the research, not my research and everybody's, and experience, that are told in a memorable way. And then I do enough work on the individual needs of a region or a company to understand what part of that would really make a difference to the group if they pay attention. There is no way that you can just stand and say, stop, I have a plan. You know, look, it's in my brochure. You know, it's here. I have a strategy, I have a plan, and that plan means that everything will stop to suit me. I had the basic insight that if customers and employees were allowed more freedom, that they could do more. But I've spent the time in between, obviously, working with those companies, so the Microsofts and the Toyotas and the Sonys, and you know, just amazing companies, and also doing the research, so an MBA and a PhD, to understand more whether my insight was correct or to fill it out. So what's changed is I've filled out the picture. So what was a good insight to start with is now a more credible, weighty insight at this point. There are technology waves and social waves that are bigger than your businesses, and they grow faster. They're more powerful and they grow faster than your business. Waves. And the basic creative technique is to think of a wave that is bigger than your business and then just use it as an assist. Use it to pull your business or organization faster than it's currently going. You can't make big changes. You can only make small changes that have a big impact. So if I can teach a group, for instance, like this masterclass, how to relax a bit more while they're thinking, just that one change will bring a big change in their management style. If you learn a lesson by doing something, it will be remembered. That's what the research says, and that's what the psychological research says. There won't be many people who attended today's masterclass that won't remember those lessons for a very long time. It's all about pacing, and it's trying to show that, first of all, to relax. Secondly, that it's hard to embarrass yourself in front of other people. And that's meant to teach them something about the nature of innovation and ideas that it might be hard for people in their own businesses to share. Diversity means that you have to do things even when, or especially when, somebody in your organization hates the idea. So you've got to somehow find a way of doing things that not everybody does agree on. You need enough disunity to create new ideas, but not so much that those new ideas can't happen. There are a few key lessons leaders have to learn. One is that everybody that they manage or that they lead or that they work with is different. And it's such a basic, fundamental truth that it's often ignored. We say everyone's different, but then that means your management style is going to have to be slightly different for everybody. And that you're going to have to find an opportunity for everybody, different kinds of people, rather than thinking that there is one best way. There isn't. Not everybody likes to be creative, and not everybody wants to be paid to be nice, and not everybody's kindly. We have different motivations, so you've got to find what's necessary for them. The long emergency is one where you see it coming, you know it's going to happen, everything tells you there's going to be a problem, but you do nothing about it. Why? So the US with their automotive industry, or the UK with its automotive industry that it doesn't have anymore. You know, we saw it coming, everybody knew, 50 years of warning, but nobody did anything about it. And that's because people get fixed in their ways, their habits, and they carry on, and they carry on, and they carry on. Well, because the first thing is that all leaders are born first, including everybody else. So I would suggest that all people are born, and then but they come with a set of capabilities, and some people find it easier to lead than others. That's definitely the case. Some people have a certain talent for it, but that's the talent that everybody else should be paying attention to. They should be paying attention to what the born leader does, so that they can copy that, not just a set of tasks. You know, the born leader, he's really interested in what's happening in the world, naturally, so you have to be as well. The born leader is good at telling a joke or bringing people with him in a kind of charismatic way. So you need to learn a bit of that too. So I believe that leaders who are not natural can learn many skills, but they have to learn how to be one, the way it feels, not just a set of tasks. I hope that they realise that they can shape the future, that they view that there's a difference between kinds of thinking, the causal thinking, the effectual thinking, that they understand that there's some really cool things out there and that they shouldn't be afraid of them, that if they really pull them into their lives, that they can surf a bit on these waves, and then also that they can do something that they love before they die. That's what I hope.